today I'm bringing you a book talk or book review of The Turning, a Story of the Living Dead by Kelly M. Hudson. And probably by the thumbnail you know I didn't care for this book. It had potential to be a really good book. Again, when I did the unboxing, I thought it was the movie that they had just released called The Turning, where it had to do with, I think, some creepy children and maybe a haunting, that type of thing. And this was not this book. So I think it's just a coincidence in the name of the book. And so that kind of went in thinking it was one thing, but it was something completely different. This story follows Jeff and another survivor. This is a zombie outbreak, apocalyptic type story. The world is basically ended. They don't know what caused people to die and then be reanimated. It never goes into that, and that's probably one of the biggest things about this book. It doesn't go into a lot of detail about anything. My honest opinion about this book, and I don't mean anything bad about the author, but it felt like it was just a torture book, and that was its whole purpose. It was very, very gruesome. It goes into all the details, the gore. It's just way out there. Also, there are some trigger warnings with this book. A lot of abuse of women go on in this book. The worst sides of humanity are shown. A lot of torture goes on in this book. I made it through. I don't know how, but I would definitely give this a 1 star. If I had the capability of giving no stars, I definitely would. But definitely this is my very first star book. I did manage to get through it. Another trigger warning is a rape. There's a very graphic rape scene that takes place in this book. I was not expecting that. Just pretty much everything bad man can do to one another went in this book. Cannibalism was part of it. It was so graphic. When I got to the rape scene, I almost completely put the book down. I skimmed through that because I just couldn't handle it. A lot of the very gruesome torture scenes, again, I skimmed over that. Again, it's not something that I enjoy reading about. Had I known that going into this book, I never would have read it. I would have just simply passed it on. You have a man named Jeff, Jenny. He watches that whole scene. He's powerless because he is trapped in a jail cell. She ended up committed suicide, so again, suicide warning, trigger for that as well. And it just follows him because it made it sound like those two were going to make it through. Because on the back it says Jeff, who is the survivor, his lover Jenny, they leave the Bay Area to travel through Northern Carolina into Oregon. She doesn't even make it out of California, so that was kind of misleading. It was so gory. I would not recommend this book unless that's something you are really into. Again, had I known what I was getting into with this book, I wouldn't. I have watched zombie movies before. I've read a YA. This is definitely not YA by any stretch of the imagination. It's definitely an adult book. It is just gruesome. That's about the best description I can get. It does end with a happily ever after, but it's just the plot. Everything is rushed in it. There's really not a lot of background building of the characters, why things started happening, and the fall of humanity just within a week is just gone. And all of the brutality that normally would take years to develop, you know, from survival, it happened within, it seemed like a week. It's kind of in a journal style writing because it goes by months, sometimes days, depending on what goes on in it. So it's a little bit of journalistic in format, but it's also narrative. It's like the author couldn't really decide what he or she wanted to. I'm not sure if it's a male or female writing this book. I haven't looked into that, so I apologize for that. And Kelly can go both ways name, but yeah, I cannot recommend this book. Again, there's really no plot behind it. I did want to see, I guess I was a little bit connected to Jeff, even though not much. But I kind of wanted to see how he's ended up surviving what his end. He ended up with a baby rescuing a baby, and it ends the story with him protecting her and trying to survive, trying to get the baby to survive. And it freaked him out because the baby's name was Jenny. He knew that because it was on the onesie, I guess, what the baby was wearing when he found her, which was also the name of his lover that committed suicide based off of the rape, that brutality that was done to her. So his love interest was shifted to the baby. It was just very, very weird. Like I said, I cannot recommend this unless you're into torture films or kind of reminded me, I guess, somewhat like Hostel, the movie, 10 plus years ago when they made that series. Its whole focus was about being brutal to people, and that's what this kind of reminds me of. And I only ever watched the trailers of Hostel. I never watched them because that was just not my alley to read. Again, not a lot of plot going on. It's just one scene after another of people hurting one another, and then all of the zombies coming as well. So a lot of things didn't make sense in the book. I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but if you're into zombies, you might like it. If you're into more of the gruesome side of things, you might like it. But as for me as a reader, really not my thing. So I cannot recommend it, and plus all the other faults going on with it, cannot recommend it. Anyways, I hope you found some sort of value to this review. Again, I don't have a lot of positive things to say about it. Normally I can find something about it, maybe a good plot line. I wanted to know about characters and how they were going to survive and things like that. Really not an interest. I kind of tiny bit wanted to know about Jeff and how it turned out for him, but overall wasn't really even that much connected to him because there wasn't a lot of character development. So again, I can't recommend it. But anyways, again, I hope you did find some type of value to this. Leave me some comments down below what you thought of it, if you're interested in possibly picking up this book or no, or have you read it or read any other books by Kelly M. Hudson that you would recommend. Maybe this just wasn't a good book for me. Maybe some of the other books this author has written may be more suited to me. Anyways, leave me those types of comments down below. And until my next video, I hope you have a good one. Bye!